Right, here we go. Live stream it is. So, I'm not really very good at these, so I'm hoping this is working. You'll have to let me know on the chats if it definitely is, because most of the time I mess this sort of stuff up big time. I'm just not a very good live streamer, but I'm just hoping everything's working. So we'll leave it at that. Right, I'm just gonna have a quick sip of tea, get myself comfy, and we'll start with the usual, which will be Bitcoin and matic, and then you can let me know what you think after all that. So we get a Bitcoin one going on as well. Excuse me. Still not feeling exactly 100%. Oh my god. A super chat. Brilliant. You know what, Chris? You've made my day. You know, I'm not a social media type person. It's not for me. But the fact that I've just received a super chat has made my day. That's like groundbreaking stuff for this channel. Never ever happened before. Probably never happen again. But the fact that it's just happened it's almost it gives you that feeling, similar feeling to the way that I felt when I saw matic start to launch. Obviously not as lucrative, but definitely in the same ballpark of feelings. So thanks a lot for that, mate. Right then, let's have a little peep then, shall we? Alright, so we've already got someone. Sorry, I have a question. What do you think about Harmony 1? Well, it depends what do you mean, what do I think? What do I think of the project, or what do I think of the chart? Let's bring the chart up, actually. Because I've not looked at this in a while. I used to look at this when it was all about the ICOs and that, when they were all going crazy. But I've not actually looked at this. Probably since the summer, since they all basically fell to pieces. So let's have a little look. Oh my god, I'll be retiring soon at this rate, Chris, if you keep paying me off. But it's definitely a big incentive to carry on. I am loaded now. That is a packet of nappies right there. A packet of nappies with some change. I really appreciate that. Right, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough still. Right, let's have a look then. We'll get out the 4 hourly, we start with the daily, and what do we see? We don't see much, to be honest. We don't see a great deal. This coin isn't as old as matic. It came out after matic, so we don't on the daily chart actually have the 200 EMA, which is, as you know, one of my favourite, if not one of the most important indicators when it comes to moving averages. So we don't have that, which is a shame. But, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I need to get. I'll get the Bitcoin one out as well. So we'll look at this, because this is how we spotted that there was definitely going to be a big move with matic when we saw the. Yeah. Okay. Well, in all fairness to you, in all fairness to this coin, it's looking pretty good. And I know it's flat as a pancake, but that's actually a good sign. It looks like it's basically doing a matic in slow-mo. When it comes to looking at moving averages, that is. So the things we're looking for, and to be honest with you, it's exactly the same way that matic played out, and this is what we're looking to receive from this. We're looking to see accumulation over a long period of time. Now, this accumulation isn't as good as matic's, because matic bottomed out when it came down and collapsed, and it actually formed its lowest level bottom around this level. But weekly chart, BTC1 looking good. I'll look at that in a minute. So yeah, matic bottomed out actually when it came right down. So matic has been a stronger coin throughout this whole thing anyway. So we bottomed out at this level here at this time, which was actually not that long ago, about 6 weeks ago. So the fact that we've only just bottomed out means that the accumulation has kind of started around this level. And what level would that be? 60 sats. Alright, so 60 sats has been the basic accumulation zone. This isn't a good thing. We're lower than we were when we were launched, which is a bad thing too. So the simple 200 EMA on the 12 hourly is a downwards facing. Which, until that levels out or starts to move up, would mean that, yeah, we might still be in accumulation zone and we might go lower than we are right now. We're having a rejection at this level here, which is the 200 EMA, and this is only on a 12 hourly. This is the longest way that we could, the longest time period I can go by to get this indicator in this moving average, which I have to say is one of the most important for all assets. Doesn't matter what it is, stocks, shares, anything, I have to have this 200 EMA on it. So we've been rejected from it now. That's a big rejection there, looking like it might want to stay beneath this for a little while, and it's until we break above that 200 EMA and stay above there that we could start to talk about going bullish. This was probably moved up on this whole matic move, so this is off the back of matic. This isn't really being traded on its own right. If matic hadn't done its thing, I wouldn't have expected to see this at all. I would have expected to see wavering around and maybe even a bit of a decline, as we saw with all the other generally across the board with all other alts. So it's not really doing its own thing, but out of pure default, what this has done is it's increased the green 50 EMA, which is starting to move up a little bit, and all the other indicators are starting to move up a little bit too. What we need to see is we need to get above this 200 EMA and stay above that 200 EMA. Once we've stayed above there, then we can start to be bullish again. But at the moment, it's a bit of a gamble on this. You could trade it thinking that it's basically going to do a matic. I don't think it will be doing a matic at all. It's what it's doing is a very soft shadow of matic's moves, and it's really not doing its own thing. But just by default, by making these bullish moves, we'll actually start to bend indicators up, bend these moving averages up, and eventually forge its own way to, like I say, above the 200 EMA. So we're talking sats level now, because this is going to be a slow moving indicator here. We have to get above 84, 85 sats. Let's call it 90 sats. If we can stay above 90 sats, and we can stay above there for a prolonged period of time, it will give these indicators time to actually start to form bullish postures. So let's have a look at what you're talking about on the weekly. I can't really imagine much on this. I mean, yeah, it looks okay because you've got definitely green candles. Yeah, so I can see what you mean. It looks like it wants to go bullish, definitely, because it's doing more green than it is red. So in that sense, yeah, we might be in for a recovery. I think it might be. I think it might be reasonable to say that the bottom is in for Harmony 1, but it's not going to go crazy yet. Like I say, we've got to stay above those levels for that reason. So let's get back to the 12 hourly. So yeah, for anything to be bullish, it can't be bullish unless it's above the 200 EMA. That's pretty much a rule. It just cannot be bullish when it's like that. And when all other indicators are beneath the 200 EMA, it's going to be very difficult for it to stay bullish. So you could buy some and accumulate at this level. That's fine, but don't expect it to do anything special until that happens. And I think, we'll just have a quick look at Bitcoin. Just a quick little peep. Let's go to the daily to start with. The daily looks to me as though today we had this, what I would call a short hunt. So basically there's a big buy up here to try and knock people out of their positions, and I think they probably achieved quite a lot of that. But also when this sort of thing happens, and I've seen this loads of times just during this bear trend, it's just an opportunity for you to allocate yourself a nice position. Now this might happen again. I would expect it to trail down again, maybe get down towards the 7,000 again, and it might do it again. You can see that it actually broke through the top of the descending trend, and then just came crashing straight back down. So it's like a hunt for me, to be honest with you. It's hunting out those shorts, knocking them off, and then taking up a nice position for yourself. So I do think this is going to continue to come down. I don't think we're going to be coming back up to break this constructively, and bringing by this coming down, it will actually probably impact Harmony 1, because Harmony 1, again, like I say, it's not performing its own moves, it's doing it off the back of matic. So I think it would knock matic or knock Harmony 1 down again. So until, like I say, the rule of thumb I would say is get above, for safety measure, 90 sats, stay above 90 sats. There's a very good chance we'll actually start to go bullish shortly after that. Let's have a quick look on Tether then, on the 12 hourly, and it looks a lot, pretty much the same, but the indicators aren't really showing anything other than accumulation around this zone. Anywhere from pretty much where this top area here, 0.006, all the way back down to, we'll call it this level here, which is about 0.0047. So yeah, just accumulating still, and probably going to be wavering around within this area before it breaks above that that and stays above that 200 EMA. So that's how it goes. Oh, and I looked back and I found another super chat from Chris. Chris, you're throwing your money away. To be honest with you, I am not worth this amount. That's like almost £6. I'm definitely not worth that kind of money, but I appreciate it. So what's going on here? Like I say, I'm not very well still. Yeah, loads must have been liquidated in that pump today. Yeah, no, completely. Let's see. Let's see if I can find. This happened lots of times around the 10,000 area. This, for instance, that was a short hunt out, and exactly that, and that I believe is what we've just had now. This was one here, so we come back down, we start to go back up, reach this area, which would have been a nice rejection there. Everyone expected it to be shorted, and then we crash back through it and straight back down. This is kind of what's happened today, and this is probably what's going to happen maybe one time more. It might not. We might go just straight back down. We probably have some heavy shorts up here now from the people who probably caused this move. And I was working, but I saw it happen. I was like, it's pretty obvious what it was to me. It's not going to have a continuation. It's going to have a continuation down. It happens all the time. You know, because and it's almost a good thing when you see it happen, because it's like, it's almost certain that nothing's certain, but it's one of those moves where you think, right, I see what happened there, I know what's likely to take place as a result of that. It was a hunt out, and people got hunted, liquidated, and then the people who caused that move in the first place, they knew exactly what they were doing, and then they allocate themselves some nice shorts, and they'll be sailing that all the way back down, and it's likely an indicator in itself to say that we're going to be breaking this area eventually and coming back down. Yeah, that's how I see it. Now, I could be wrong, but that's how I see it. It's kind of like a game, you know, the bulls versus the bears, the whales, you know, who have their motives and stuff, and you can kind of put yourself in their position. You know, if you were them, what would you do? I'd do that. I'd definitely do that. If I had that kind of power, I'd be doing that all the time, and I think that's what happened there. But all indicators of Bitcoin look really bearish, so I mean, it's going to be bearish, it's going to stay bearish. Moves like this are forced, and you can't change a trend, you know, unless you're a super massive whale. And then you can probably try and change a trend, but it's still a lot of risk for you to do that. So little moves like this, you know, you could probably do if you're a market mover with lots and lots of Bitcoin, that you can essentially create your own candlesticks, you know. Anyway, I'm not one of those conspiracy nuts. It's just something that I've noticed, you know. If it was an organic move, it wouldn't have this big candles wick on it. It just wouldn't have that. It would just continue up. It hasn't, has it? That took. I mean, I was working, so I didn't get to see the move. I just, from what I understand, from what I kind of looked at when I saw it on my phone just briefly, it looked like it took 5 or 10 minutes for that to happen. So, standard, typical hunt out there. Anyway, if not got any specific things for me to look at, shall we treat ourselves to a bit of matic then? See if there's anything we can work out heads or tails of this one. So again, you know, this complete polar opposite to the way that Bitcoin looks, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to Harmony. You know, this is these are some of the long-term indicators. I mean, Harmony doesn't have these on daily charts, but matic does. And what we see, this is the 200 simple. This will be the hardest one for any coin to start to bend upwards if it's not got the momentum, you know, because when we look at Harmony, we've essentially been going down and accumulating, so we've not had a chance to bend any of these indicators, but matic has, and this one especially is going to be hard to bend if your chart generally looks like Harmony's, because it came from so high up and it's gone all the way down, and it's not been leveling out or accumulating for as long as, let's just say, matic has. Matic kind of went crazy, bottomed out here, and then it's just been trending along this level here, which is given all those indicators time to basically go level. And then when you start to see bullish moves, or not even so much bullish, but moves to the up, they just naturally start to bend and curve, and then once they start to spread like a rainbow like this, it's pretty much you know, it's pretty much on. You've got the green light to go bullish at that point. and that's what's happening. So for me to try and work out where this one is going from here, it's really difficult because I like to downplay things, to be honest with you, as much as I can. Sometimes I put titles on my YouTube videos where I'm quite sensationalist. It's like saying, oh, well, maybe matic will reach 10 cent in the new year, as in like January, and that is a possibility, but it's not likely. But it is a possibility. So I think I'll put that as my title. Not trick people into it, but no one's going to watch a video going, oh, it's the same as I said yesterday, just a little bit more positive. So, but realistically, I like to downplay my the way that coins move, and I thought that we would be in this area actually for a little while, bouncing around the 2 to 2.7 cent area, and we didn't. In fact, we were not even really rejected from the 2.7 cent area, and the reason I said that was because we got these rejections here, and again, this chart is the only thing we've got to go by. We don't have an older history than this. This is pretty much the chart. You can get a chart that's longer than this before it went on Binance, but it was basically just didn't do anything. So there's not much to go by on that one. But when you go by on this one, I mean, still, there's not much to go by. So yeah, we're all looking for pullbacks on this one, and to be honest with you, probably will get one, but I don't know if you'll get one that you're looking for. The way that it looks like to me is that there's people are just getting matic fever, I think now, similar to the way they did on this one. But it's a little slower because the market is not as optimistic as it was back here. Back here, the market was in a really, really bullish phase. People were looking to make a lot of money quick, and they did with matic. But again, the market was different to the way the market is here. The market is not in a bullish phase at the moment. The market is actually very skeptical about what's actually going to happen next. You got people in perma bull phase. You got people like me who are calling for it to generally keep going down. And it's not like I'm on the side of the bulls or the bears. I have to interpret a chart the way I see it, and the way I see this chart is that we can wait for pullbacks, but I think the way that it's going now is that we are just going to keep making incremental steps up until further notice. This looking like this isn't actually too bad. It's not looking like it wants to do a parabolic move, but it doesn't look like it wants to be pulling back anytime soon. I think it is going to keep continuing, and I know that sounds mad, but I think it is. We go to the weekly, and we're just making, currently, our last week closed with a candlestick larger than any of the other weekly candlesticks that have ever been made with matic, and if we carry on with this one, we're going to beat the last one too, and it's just going to carry on like that until it basically reaches its top. And then I think the pullback that we will see will probably be a bit more dramatic than the ones that you're hoping for, because they might just lose half of its value and then reaccumulate around that level, similar to the way that Chainlink has. But it's not, it's not bad. I don't think we're going to be consolidating again like that we have had here after the pullback. I think we'll look very similar to the way that Chainlink did when it went parabolic. Chainlink made some really good moves, didn't it? I think it did like a 4 or 5x in a relatively small space of time, and then I don't keep up to date with these things, but wasn't it either the Google announcement or the Coinbase announcement that basically made it double again at that point, and it made its all-time high of around $4.50, and since then it's halved. Now the market is generally halved most coins, but I think we'll be looking at something similar to that with matic. I think matic's going to maybe double from where it is right now. It could double from where it is right now, and then it will pull back and might end up at this level or a bit lower or thereabouts, but it's not going to do a full retrace. Not with moves like this, it won't. It will retrace, but it won't go all the way back to square one. It'll retrace to a certain level and accumulate at that level, just like Chainlink's done. Let's have a look at some of these comments. So I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but I'm dyslexic. You know, I do. I've had a number of professional jobs. And I generally don't mention it unless I absolutely have to. Until I start to chair a meeting or something like that, and I sometimes just slip it in as just to let you know I'm dyslexic, and I start reading things out like the Scatman. So I'm going to read these comments now, but you just got to bear with me. I do have like the reading age of like an 11-year-old. Some days are better than others, so just bear with me, all right? Yeah. So. Sold 10% of my stack for seller. Oh, kind of regretting it. Yeah, I mean the way all these coins are, seller and Harmony and stuff. From what I understand, they all partnered with Matic. They decided to basically, Matic basically took them on. And I don't exactly know what it means by partnering with them, because I know seller is a layer 2 solution itself, and I'm not really a fundamentals type person. But I think Matic's just taking the lead with all of these, and it's almost like we've all got our layer 2 solutions and stuff, but Matic's the one that seems to be having the value attributed to its token, and it might be utilizing things like seller network, for their own purposes or whatever, but seller's not really benefiting from that. When it comes to these guys, seller and one, I think there's only one. I think Matic is always going to be the main token for investors and traders. I could be wrong. Like I say, we've got to judge everything by its chart, and until we start to see more bullish setups, this isn't going to go bullish. But we judge everything by its chart. But generally, by the moves that we've seen with all of these coins, just historically, Matic has just completely annihilated them when it comes to making giant moves. Now, these guys, if it wasn't for Matic, right, if Matic didn't exist, and we looked at these coins on their own, especially with Seller, and saw the way that Seller moved when that kind of went parabolic, then we would all be getting excited about a coin like that, because in its own right, it has done really big moves. But it's overshadowed by something like Matic, and Matic's taken the lead. And these partnerships, I don't really know exactly what they mean. To be honest, I don't know what they mean at all. But it would appear that Matic is the leader, and it's probably going to remain the leader. To be honest with you, even if Seller has a superior network and all of that sort of stuff, I think when it comes to a token that's tradable, you're going to be looking at Matic. And I don't think actually that that Seller or Harmony are available for margin trading either, and that makes a big difference. Because if I wanted to margin trade something, you can times it by, I don't know what the limit would be on I don't margin trade on Binance, but I hear they do 125x. I don't know if that's for every single asset, but you'd at least be able to, I imagine, do a 5x on Matic with no problem, probably quite a lot more than that. That basically means that Matic's green candles and red candles can be emphasized by the fact that people do margin trading. So you're always going to get the bigger moves when it comes to anything that's available on margin trading, but it also has a negative aspect of it, because it means that people are incentivized for the moves to go down as well, because I expect you'll be able to short this now. So there's a double-sided coin really. You've got to look at it with the pros and the cons. You get big candles going both ways now, and there's just as much excitement with a red candle as there is with a green once you're able to margin trade something, believe me. So alright, 125x for Bitcoin, it's kind of what I expected. Do you know what it would be then for Matic then? What's the leverage you can do on something like Matic? Is it like 25x or something at the most, or is it less than that? Like I say, I've never traded on Binance when it comes to margin trading. No, and look, but Binance gets a bit of a hard time, and people really hate. It's one of those exchanges that people love to hate. You know what I mean? I don't really know why. It is a brilliant exchange. You can't ask for anything more from something like Binance. I mean, it works perfectly. The funds are covered. You've got a relatively good choice of coins that generally aren't that crap. You go on other exchanges and you've got these coins that are literally just piles of crap that you could buy, and they make big massive moves in a day, but once you've ridden it all the way to the top, no one's going to buy it off you, because there's no one cares about it. No one wants to buy that. So you make your profit and then you just watch it go all the way back down to where it started from, because there's no liquidity on these things. So you can hate Binance all you like, but I like it. This is definitely a really nice app to use, and that's part of the user experience. That's one of the most important things. Can I buy and sell on my phone real quick? Yeah, you can. No problems. Some of these other apps I've used, like CoinTiger, they crash all the time. And it's not my phone. I've got a decent phone, you know. And you just load it up and it crashes. I mean, that's no good to start with. That kind of puts you off as soon as that's happened once. You're like, right, well, that's it for me. I'm not using that again. 3x for people, 5x for people that have made profits with margin already. So 5x is the limit for matic. That makes me feel a little bit better, but at the same time 5x is the maximum leverage I'd use on anything anyway, so it's kind of good to know. But something as volatile as matic, I mean, God, 5x, that's a lot. If I were to trade matic, I think a 2x would be enough for me. I wish I'd longed matic yesterday, but was about to. But I was like, man, if BTC dumps now, it's over with. Yeah, no, well, I mean, like I say, it's best to stay away from margin trading something like matic. As much money as you can make, you can lose a lot of money as well. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You don't need to margin trade something like matic, do you? You just don't need to. I mean, the fact that you buy an asset and it goes up 100%, in just over a week, who needs to margin trade that? Just greediness. It's just greediness. Just buy your tokens, hold on to them. It's safe that way. You're not going to lose anything, and you're making decent money. You margin trade. I generally wouldn't. I've margin traded some alts before when it's obvious they're going to do a move, and it would have to be pretty clear to me that something is going to happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. But other than that, I would only really margin trade Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's easier to work out in a way. In many ways, Bitcoin's chart is probably one of the best charts you can look at and read for any chart ever. And I used to trade Forex and commodities and some stocks, and yeah, you can look at charts on that. But I don't know if it's just me and Bitcoin seem to click, but Bitcoin makes a lot of sense when you look at the chart. You don't need to be a technical analyst or a hardcore trader to get the gist of what's going on here. You really just don't. You got one simple line going down here, which is very easy to draw. You draw it from the top of this wick and make sure it touches this wick, and you've basically got the descending trend that we've been going by this entire time since the summer. That one simple little line there is pretty much one of the biggest tools I've used throughout this entire bear trend. It's like I say, no one needs to be a genius to work on Bitcoin. Indicators that I would mainly use would be moving averages. They're the most important, and I use the Ichimoku Cloud as well, because that's generally just an extended tool based on moving averages as well. But that generally only works on long-term trend analysis, which is fine because we all want to know which direction it's going, and it's pretty clear which direction it's going anyway. But one day it will reverse, and then when it does, you want to know if it's going to continue, and the Ichimoku Cloud will tell you that. So then, there's not a great deal you need to use with Bitcoin. Well, it's pretty clear what's going on here right now. It's going down. Do you know what I mean? And the way I would the way I would play these trades with Bitcoin isn't that I would be looking to trade on a daily basis. Even though I have done that, that's actually quite hard. You plan a trade, and if you plan a trade, you've pretty much you can do all right out of it like that. So you just got to be patient. Doesn't mean you're not going to be able to trade every single day, but you have certain alerts and certain markers set up for yourself. So currently, right now, what I would say is any time that this, and you have to look at it, I suppose, daily, because this descending trend, the price changes every day on it anyway. But if the price was to go up to and above 7,700, that's likely to be a short, because we've touched the descending trend again. Once we touch the descending trend, there's almost every single time we've done that, apart from this time here, you know, apart from that one time. Every single time we do that, we go down. So if we were to come up to here again tomorrow, the price would be around 7,650. Set my alert for that. If it comes up to touch that, then I'd have a quick look to see if that move is continuing, and then maybe give it half an hour to an hour to see if it continues. If it doesn't, I'll just have a little short on it. It's worth it. Have a stop loss set at the descending trend just in case it goes wrong, you don't lose anything, and then see how far you can sail it down. Really easy stuff. And I'm not a financial advisor, so it's not financial advice, but that, like I say, that's how I'd play it. I'd wait for an opportunity, I'd set an alert, and then I'd just place the trade. I'm not one of those people who'll sit down at a computer and make trades like well, I suppose like I used to do with Forex. I mean, that's the only way you can do Forex. You have to be able to trade it at any time of the day. You have to use large leverage. You know, you have to use about at least 10x leverage to trade that, because the moves on Forex are very small anyway. But with Bitcoin, whatever move you get is generally quite big. Yeah, I would never do 5x. I usually do 3x on Bitcoin, to be honest with you. 5x if I'm absolutely certain something's going to happen. What's the deal with XRP? Should I hold or buy a link? Lots of questions there, Happy P. And sell my XRP. Alright, Chris, well, thanks a lot for your super chats. First time I've ever had a super chat, and you gave me 3, so over the moon with that. Thanks a lot for that, mate. You take it easy. Right, so we'll have a quick look at XRP then, shall we? Because actually I did buy some XRP not long ago when it hit 20 cent. And I wasn't one of those lucky people that bought it at 20 cent, because it happened really early in the morning. I picked it up around 21 cent, and since then I have been holding it, hoping to trade it, but I've not had that opportunity to actually make the trade. My plan for XRP is to catch the bottom next time it falls out, and then when it does fall out, I will be buying it and going long on it. That's my plan. So the way that it's trending, the way that it's moving, let's have a look at this. It's basically the crappiest top cap coin you'll see, to be honest with you. It's not very good. It's just terrible, in fact. But in all fairness, it's a top cap coin, so I do expect it to one day, within the next 2 years, reach its all-time high, or at least get to around $3. That is my expectation of XRP. So that's why I picked it up at such a low price. I think it's going to bottom out, because I think Bitcoin's going to bottom out. So the way I'm trading XRP, or the way I plan to trade XRP, is when we see a move like this coming down to Bitcoin, and it's all on Bitcoin. So rather than trading it on an XRP chart itself, I'm going to trade it on a Bitcoin chart, which sounds a bit silly, but XRP isn't really doing its own thing. It's moving with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, XRP goes up. If Bitcoin comes down, XRP goes down. You get the gist. The chart itself looks terrible. All indicators are moving down. You've got the opposite setup as anything that wants to go up. You've got the lowest time frame, so the highest time frame, moving averages all the way up here facing down, and you've got the lowest time frames. I use that the 7 and the 10 all the way down here. It's the complete opposite. If we could flip this on its head, it would look like matic, but it doesn't look like matic, does it? You see what I mean? Matic's like this. You've got the lowest indicator down here. I mean the highest. You've got the 200 simple, 200 EMA. It's pretty much a perfect spread, whereas this one's complete polar opposite. That means it wants to keep going down. Now one day it will bounce with these indicators looking like this, but I'm not going to trade anything and go long on anything until I start to see moves up. But what I would do is when Bitcoin decides to fall back down, at least to this first bottom level here of 6,600, we're likely to find a bounce on the first pass. We're likely to find a bounce, depending on where we fell from. If we fell down from here, where we are right now, all the way down to there, I would expect a bounce. If we were slowly coming down, trickling down, and then we got to there, I wouldn't expect a bounce. There would be a bounce, but it's not a bounce worth buying. We're waiting for more of a breakdown. My overall goal is to see Bitcoin come down to this bottom area of the triangle, and this would be the bottom level, around 4,900. And when we get down there, I would expect all alts, completely everything, to be bottoming out slowly. This could mean that Bitcoin and other alts will be accumulating in this area, and rather than having a significant bounce where we can buy and say we safely caught the bottom and expect giant moves. We might just be safely buying here and watching it sort of meander around, like we did at the beginning of this year, similar to this. So this is what we kind of look at. This is the kind of move I'm actually looking for, in fact. So we're coming down here, bouncing, forging a bottom when it comes down to what I think will be this level. Will look similar to this. I want to be trying to catch these bounces. Now you can see here how we had that bounce and we trickle back down, but we didn't retest the absolute bottom. We came quite close to it, so you should generally have a second chance. And I would expect to see something like this for Bitcoin next year, and XRP will probably look like this too. But what you will be able to notice is that the bottom won't be a double bottom. It won't be retested. It will come back down, but it won't actually double test it. And then we'll start to move up, and then probably next year we will probably see something like this again, similar to this, hopefully not quite as dramatic, because the fact is that this went too high too fast and now we're consolidating, just like we saw with the matic chart. This is what happens when something goes parabolic. This is what happens afterwards. You can't have a really big banging party without a hangover, and that's what this is. This is the hangover from a giant party. You know, this is a full 24-hour party, no sleep, no stop, and then you have to just crash after that. You want to go slow and steady. That's what you want, and that's not what happened with matic. That's not what's happened with Bitcoin, and you're paying the price now with Bitcoin. So matic's, I suppose, a decent example of that. Matic bottomed out here and reaccumulated here. This is the sort of thing that I would expect to see with Bitcoin when it bottoms out, probably around this zone. And that will also be the same with XRP. So realistically speaking, I do expect XRP to break down below 20 cents again, and my all-time low for XRP would be about 16 cents. And XRP is better for bouncing than Bitcoin. That last bounce that XRP had was pretty significant. So if it does get to 16 cents, I would expect it to see it get bought up quite quick, because there's a lot of people that love the coin. They've got an emotional attachment to it, you know, and they're just going to want to keep accumulating more, essentially feeding their debt probably. But for new time buyers, or for people like me, or I don't know what your situation is, but it would be an okay buy back down there, because we're looking at a market to perhaps maybe reverse at that level. So you might be actually buying it at the bottom, so you're less likely to be making a loss by buying an asset, even if the chart looks like a piece of crap, like it does. You know, you might be actually buying the actual bottom, which realistically isn't that far away. Yeah, if it does come down there. 16 cent is a big ask for it to come down to that level. It might only come down to the high teens, you know, between 19, anywhere between 19 and 16 is a good opportunity to try and catch the bottom with XRP. That's my view on it anyway. Like I say, you can't really trade a chart and hope for it to go up when the chart looks like this, when all indicators say down and continue to say down and have been continuing to say down since it reached its peak. I mean, this is one hell of a hangover. Tell me about it. I mean, this is a killer. So I hope that one was useful for you. So let's have a look at Chainlink then, shall we? I know you've been waiting patiently for that one. Let's have a quick look at that. I've not looked at it lately, just its price, not its chart. So we'll have a look at that. It's suffering a bit though, I can tell you that much. I do like Chainlink though. There's nothing to not like about it. It's extremely decent chart for the year. It's probably the best. It's probably the overall winner of all charts of the year. I mean, you think about how far we were when we started the year. We've come a hell of a long way. And actually, when you look at the indicators and you look at the moving averages on it, it's really bullish still. Well, I wouldn't say it's really bullish still. It's not bullish right now. Ooh, some interesting things are going on with Bitcoin actually. So hang on, we'll just come back to that in a minute. We'll come back to that. I've just noticed Bitcoin decided to fall off a cliff, which is interesting. So we might catch this move live. I've actually got my other computer on for trading, so you won't get to see a live trade, unfortunately. But this is the sort of thing that like I was saying, this is for those of you who started at the beginning of this live stream. We were talking about how this move just as a move in itself is an indicator that we're going to be coming down to this level, because this is what I would call a short hunt, and we've seen it many times during this descending trend where people have allocated their shorts because the overall direction is clearly down. There's nothing bullish about this chart right now. So people have been allocating shorts on this simple trend. Like I say, this trend is very simple to trade. People have been having their shorts in here and here. They've seen the rejection and they've been placing shorts here, 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 and here, and here. And then some whale or whoever it was, somebody who's got enough power to move the market, knocked all their shorts out of the way and took all those shorts for themselves and allocated them a nice big fat short here. And it was this move itself that told me that we're looking to go down. And I think that's where we're going now. I don't expect us to recover anytime soon. We'll be back down at this level before you know it. That's 6,600, and maybe finding a few little bounces there. But we've not got long really before the end of the year. This descending wedge will tighten up, and it will knock us either up or down. And like I say, all indicators look like it wants to go down. So yeah. Sorry for those who have already heard me rant on about that, but it's nice to see that this is playing out, because I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but it's something that was obvious was going to happen, and you lot probably saw that too. I imagine a lot of you are seasoned traders or cryptocurrency followers, so we've all seen it before. We saw it back here. You know, we were all going down here. We were hunted out here. It happened here. Hunted out again and came back straight back down and lower. It happens all the time, and that's what's happened here. So yeah, I do expect this to be a continuation of the move, probably down to around 7,000 again before. If we break below 7,000 on this candle today, then we will be coming down into the 6,000. 7,000 is the battleground at the moment. It's the ground zero. That's where everybody's fighting about. Going below that 7,000 will definitely bring us into these areas here again. Anyway, so sorry about that. We'll move on to Chainlink. So Chainlink is falling to pieces, isn't it, right now? But when in doubt, zoom out, and you can see that actually it's very, very, very bullish still on the long term. So that's it. Looking with the Bitcoin. It's looking a little bit better than it is on the Sats level, because Bitcoin's falling to pieces. It's showing that Chainlink's got a lot stronger than Bitcoin. However, this little grouping here doesn't look very bullish to me, obviously. So let's have a little look on the weekly, because this coin has been out long enough for us to see if we can spot any other sort of trends here. So we had an Ichimoku cloud cross here on the weekly. The conversion line over the baseline took place here, which meant that I would expect a continuation of price action from anywhere between this and this. So just to be conservative, the price I would expect to stay above on the Sats level would be this level, 23, we can call it 24,000. 24,000 Sats should be our bottom level. If we find our way back down at that level again, we should be bouncing from there and continuing to make our moves up on the Sats level. Anyway, let's have a look on the weekly with the tether pairing. It's not a very mature chart actually, and we actually had a cross to the down, so that would suggest the opposite kind of move. But because the chart's not very mature, I would put more weight on this one, on this one here. Let's have a look on a lower time frame. Is it worth holding Link at the moment? Well, I mean, that's just, it's not for me to say. I think out of all the coins that you could hold, in cryptocurrency land, Chainlink is probably one of the better ones, and I'm talking holding long term. The way I'm measuring all these kind of coins, right? The way I'm measuring time to hold and time to sell is based on the theoretical Bitcoin 4-year cycle. So I don't know if you know about that, but the 4-year cycle is where Bitcoin spends 3 years going up, and 1 year going down, completing the 4-year cycle. So we've pretty much just, or are about to complete the first year of a brand new cycle. So that would suggest we've got 2 more years going up, and then that would be followed by basically a giant year-long recession in price, like the one we had last year. So all coins should follow that, because Bitcoin is the dominating cryptocurrency out there, and it dictates the health and growth of the market. So I would expect, holding on to Chainlink would be, for me, if you're a hodler, you would be holding on to it for another 2 years, looking to sell it around December 2021, and at some point during that period, Bitcoin will have topped out. Bitcoin could be anywhere as much as 50,000 or even 100,000 or even more, but it will reach its peak really quickly, and then the next day it will die like it did in 2018. That's the same sort of thing that we'll be seeing again, and you want to be making sure that you're selling before it dies, because when it dies, everything else will die too. Certain other thing, Bob Lucas says it. He's the big one, and he's the main man who talks about it. But you can watch his channel. I've watched it. It's a bit long-winded, to be honest. I find his chats a little bit, you can sum it up in a sentence. I don't really know what it is he's looking to gain out of these big long videos he makes, but it's as simple as that. Bitcoin has a 4-year cycle. If you're a hodler, buy it, hold it, sell it before the end of the 3rd year, 4th year. You don't want to be holding it at all. Simple as that. I could create a YouTube channel that just says that. If you want a 4-year cycle, buy it, hold it, sell it before the 4th year starts, and all coins will follow that. Now there will be a few little gems here and there that will have gone off and maybe taken on its own life, and not subject to the rest of the market, but I wouldn't really want to take that risk. You'd want to sell on that. You'd want to sell. So I don't see a problem in holding Chainlink. It's done a hell of a lot of moves already this year, so to see it do much more, it's likely to continue to go up, between now and January. But you'll be up and down. You'll be up and down. But I think by the end of January, most of the cryptocurrencies out there will have begun to make their recoveries. All the altcoins, all the top altcoins, including Chainlink, will start making decent moves again by end of January. We'll see some decent moves by then. The market looks like it's going to start to recover by January. So you'll be in for a little bit of pain for the moment, because like I say, Bitcoin is coming down, and it looks like it wants to come down further, and it will take a lot of coins with it. Excuse me. So if anyone got any more coins you want me to have a look at, I'm very happy to peep. If not, I might just call it a day, to be honest with you. I need to take some cough medicine, definitely. Well, I appreciate you all tuning in. I know I'm not the biggest channel out there, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to my nauseating voice and listen to my random theories. Okay then, lads and ladies, I'll leave it with you there then. But again, I really appreciate you joining me, and hope you have a nice evening, and take it easy. Let's see if I can stop